So with this next part, we're going to have a little bit of fun. I have a couple words up there that are new slang, I guess, for our youth. And I've asked a couple of the ladies that I worked with, and they didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So if I say something and you know what the term means, shout it out for me. So who knows what cray means? There you go, Deb, crazy. How about swerve? Anybody know what swerve means? We got youth sitting in the back. I know you guys know. Oh, they left. All right, swerve means to avoid. Fam? All right, and squad? Friends, all right. How about if I said the word totes gorge? There we go, totally gorgeous. All right, so these are some of the words that our youth are using today. Now, I'm not saying that we should all start using them, because let's just face it, we still wouldn't be cool. But it helps us understand what in the world they're actually saying sometimes. Learning their language helps with communication between all parties involved. Understanding our youth, understanding their train of thought, taking ourselves back a few pegs to understand them a little bit better, and being that voice of reason, playing the devil's advocate, but in terms that they will see and understand on their level. Using negative words such as no, not smart, bad idea, can't, won't, when discussing their permanency plan isn't going to get you very far. But instead, we should use positive and encouraging words, almost like a reverse psychology type of response. There will be a breakout session facilitated by myself and two other colleagues after this presentation called Leveling the Playing Field, if you're interested in how to engage your youth more in their permanency plan. Now, this conference is titled Bravery, Courage, and Triumph. And in order to help youth turn these obstacles into triumphs, we need to utilize these skills of engagement. Actively listening to what they're saying, their wants, their needs, thinking thoroughly through their plans and how they're going to achieve their goals, but seeing both sides, theirs and our own. Keeping in mind that they are younger and they've had less experiences. But knowing that until you've had the experiences that we have as adults, it's going to be hard for them to agree with our disagreement. Is everybody following me on that? We're aged and we know more. They have to experience it yet to get where we're coming from. It's going to be hard for them to muster up this courage and bravery to allow us to influence any decision or choice that they have made or thought about, because of the fact that we as a system have dictated their lives. And I'm not using that word harshly, but we have been the ones that have made the choices and the decisions for them while they've been in care. Keeping in mind all the times that trust has been broken, they have been let down, and now they're at an age where they have their own ambitions. They are self-sufficient, and they have dreams. If in fact the information is not received by the youth, help them understand that that was their choice, and they need to own the result of that decision, as well as if they did take the advice given to them by explaining what could have taken place. But commend them on their decision. Even if they didn't take the advice, the I told you so response probably isn't going to go well. Again, we have had the experience. We have all made a decision at some point in our lives where someone looked at us and said, oh, that's probably not a smart idea. And guess what? We went with our idea anyway. That was our learning experience. So commend them on either choice, whether they took your advice or not, because that is their experience. That is their learning. Here's a scenario. This time it's a personal one. When I left care, I had plans A, B, and C, D, the whole way to Z. When one fell through, I had another one lined up. If someone would have looked at those plans, any adult would have seen it had flaws. Responding to those plans with, "That's a bad idea," would have made me tune you completely out. Questioning me on how to succeed in those plans and striving to get the best possible outcome for me would have made me have to think a little bit harder. My plan to graduate and get a job in an apartment was wonderful. I had aspirations. However, how was I going to get there? What kind of a job was I going to apply for? What area would I live in? Would I be able to walk to work? Simple questions that come so naturally to us as adults. Youth really don't think that far ahead. Engaging a youth in their permanency plan helps give them a little control over their lives. They feel like they're part of the solution and not the problem, so to speak. This also helps with the reconstruction part of the brain. That window of opportunity is available to us as mentors and engaged adults. We have the opportunity to talk to our youth and to show them another way to think, to see their world, and to make better choices. We as professional adults with stability have the opportunity to show these youth a new life, a different life than they have seen, to give them hope for a brighter future. I have to say, the old saying, "Kids will be kids," finally isn't just a saying anymore, but I've been given facts to uphold it. Risk-taking behavior is as simple as sneaking to make a phone call to your birth parents when you know that you're not allowed to have unsupervised conversations with them. Whether it's a good phone call or a bad phone call, it's still learning. On the caseworker side, the youth is just being defiant, not following rules, just doing their own thing. On the child side, they needed to talk to their parents. They needed to vent. They needed to feel connected to something biological and not just the fact that they are indeed not at home and they live with strangers. Understand that I am not condoning this behavior. I'm simply saying that it is part of development. So when the youth does make that phone call or engages in that risk-taking behavior, the brain is continuing to develop and to mold and to shape into something new. The youth has the information that we have given them as caseworkers, supervisors, mentors, advocates. They have the memories of what we did with them and how we overcame obstacles with them. And then they have the information from their parents or their guardians and how they overcame their obstacles. All part of this developing a new and brighter brain and understanding and processing information differently. Seeing two sides of the spectrum, but hearing us say, you can have a different life. When we talk about permanency to our youth, we also need to make sure that we're speaking to the foster parents the same way. We need to make sure that they understand that kids will be kids. You're not going to save the world overnight, one child at a time, but that this is a process, especially for a youth that has been in and out of care for years, has had mom and dad in and out of the picture for years, and has been hardwired to this trauma of abandonment. So I hope this illustrates this for you. My son, Jeremiah, watches a show called Daniel Tiger. It is a spinoff of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Miss Elaine?
And there is an episode that I'm gonna play for you about grown-ups leaving. And as I'm watching this with him, I think back to my recent past. I had 2 of my children placed into foster care with my former foster mother 5 years ago. My daughter was the only one that I would bring back for the weekends, weekdays in the summer. She was the only time that I really got to spend time with. My son Benjamin wasn't able to come. My daughter developed this sense of insecurity with me. She knew that I would come back at some point, she just didn't know when. The episode of Daniel Tiger talks about grown-ups leaving to go on a date, to go to the grocery store, dropping them off at school, but that they would come back.